Longest tenured front office decision makers. We have seen these guys around for quite a while, especially Brian Sabean, Billy Beane, and Brian Cashman there, going on 21 and 22 years in the front office. They've had to make some adjustments, though, because the way things that were done before is not how it's being done now. Billy Beane kind of called it a new norm when MLB Tonight talked to him during the winter meetings. He said the front offices in those high market teams, those big market teams, are kind of thinking more like smaller to mid-market teams now. Is that the new norm? We'll start with you, Dio.
Oh, absolutely. I think Billy almost termed it chaos, is that smaller market clubs really look for the large market teams to have some chaos to let them capitalize on opportunities that presented itself then with inefficiencies in the marketplace. There is no one running clubs anymore that has inefficiencies in their decision-making process. They've capitalized on the use of data now to the point where they measure everything. And large market teams now realize, like small market, mid-market teams, that the valuable commodity of young, good players and payroll flexibility is the most powerful thing in the game. Let me put it this way. If every scenario that you run through on a daily basis, like hypothetically, we're going to talk about signing this free agent for X, that gets put into an internal formula, a process you've now designed that looks at your payroll over a 3-4 year period of time and tells you where that becomes problematic in any way, shape, or form. So you're not just analyzing a player's performance anymore. When you do the analysis. Because of the data and the history of the data, you're now analyzing all the risk versus recklessness that's involved in every single decision-making. So years ago, Heidi, there may have been 50% of the clubs that operated this way. Now it's 100% of the clubs that are operating this way. So when the Dodgers make the trade that they just made, instead of going to get, a Tony Watson, they're now very budget conscious, and the luxury tax has certainly played a role in it. Yeah. But I'm a believer it's more of the process of way the clubs do things now, in addition to the luxury tax.
Well, the chaos you speak of is the chaos of going out and spending a ton for guys, and then those contracts have become bad eventually as those players get old. But also, it's interesting to note that Andrew Friedman, Farhan Zaidi are the guys running the Dodgers, a big market team. They came from smaller market teams.
From Oakland and Tampa, yeah. They value engineer not just the bigger contracts anymore, too. As I said, Tony Watson, let's say hypothetically he was going to be 8 times 3 in the market. So they get Alexander, who they think profiles very similar to Watson at this stage of his career at the minimum for the next 3 years. And so that gives them payroll flexibility to do other things with the ball club, even though they may have the money in the past years to throw at a more veteran player. So their decision-making process has become so precise, and they simply don't get out of their box. There's not an emotional connection to buy a certain player, because they all realize now no team is one player away, ever. You have to build your team in the aggregate from top to bottom, all the way down to 40 at some point in time. So you've got to have flexibility to be able to do that.
Yeah. It is really interesting to see that teams are not as interested in paying for past performance as they are, because you're saying they can project forward.
Predictive analysis has really taken over our game in so many ways, but everything, medical science is factoring into it now. Yeah. Everything gets factored into the decision-making process.